Welcome, Yamhill County, to Speaking Frankly. I'm your host, Howie Harkema, and our tagline is, "And how we doin'?" Today I have three awesome vintage guests. The first is Wayne Beckwith. Wayne Beckwith, thank you for being here. And Tony Meeker.
Howie.
Nice to have you with us. And Miss Cynthia Christensen. Thank you, Cynthia. So we've done this before, so we're all old hats at this, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
We're vintage hats.
Yes, we're vintage hats. And you're wearing vintage wear today. And I love that. So we're going to talk about the 2019 Farm Fest at the Yamhill Valley Heritage Center and Museum. So is there anything new this year at Farm Fest?
Well, we just received yesterday a 1912 steam traction engine. It's an Altman Taylor, and it actually used to be powering the Wanless lumber mill that was just off of Peavine back in the day.
And how did you acquire that?
We had the owner of it was offering it to us at a significantly reduced price. So we jumped on it before somebody on the East Coast bought it.
Of course. That's exciting.
We were very, very excited. We're also in the midst of a restoration on our Peerless, which people can be seeing the progress and with what we're doing on that. So we're redoing all the paint and some work with that.
And your refurbishment of all of this equipment occurs through your group out there.
It occurs through our Wednesday work crew, and the steam engines, referring from the steam crew out there. We've got a huge number of volunteers who work there, and with this upcoming event, we'll have over 100 volunteers coming out there. It really becomes a big community event for it to happen.
That's awesome.
Another thing that we didn't do last year was have the gang plows and the bigger hitches. So we plan to have two hitches that'll be pulling a two-bottom plow, one with horses and one with mule. There'll be 6 on each. So that's something you don't get to see very often, and we hope to be able to do that. Weather permitting, we'll be out there.
That's awesome. Yes, Mr. Mule Skinner.
Thank you.
And there's one other thing this year. We're hoping that please have people leave their pets at home this year. If you have a service animal, it is welcome to be coming, but please try to keep the service animal away from the animals that are part of the exhibits. There might be dogs there that are part of the exhibits, but service animals only, please.
That's awesome. Good to know. So is the Yamhill Valley Heritage Center and Museum part of the Yamhill County Historical Society?
Yes, it is. The Yamhill County Historical Society acquired ownership of that through some donations from local citizens, both land and then a building that got it kicked off. And the beautiful thing about that is we're a nonprofit, so donations are tax exempt. Additionally, you've got the oversight of the Historical Society board, and it gives really some credibility to what we're doing out there, and we'll make it long range in nature. Another beautiful thing is we have zero debt, no debt at all out there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's a multi-million-dollar facility.
Yes, our insurance company told us recently that our replacement value is now $7.5 million. So, yeah, it's a big investment.
It doesn't surprise me at all. And it does lend credibility. And
it does.
It really does. So how many years now has Farm Fest been going on?
Well, I was asking people at a meeting just last night to confirm that, and they were saying it's been 11, 12 years it's been going on.
Wow.
We started off with, not with horses and mules and such. We started off doing it with tractors. And then we had a year when it was a little bit wet for the tractors to work, and
and that's when they invited, somebody came to me and said, well, you know, could you plow? And I said, well, we could plow with water in a furrow if you like. And so I invited a couple of friends, and there were 3 teams, I believe, that first year. And then the following year, it was a success, I think. People really liked to see the animals. So the next year there was a good relationship set up with the Oregon Draft Horse Breeders Association,
right.
And the competition for plowing now is held there, and so that during that competition is how we get to plowed
That's
ground.
awesome.
So
that's awesome. So, Caroline, could you bring up the poster? So we're going to kind of walk through this quickly. The date and time of this year's Farm Fest is, and any one of you can say,
So April 6th.
okay?
Just
And
a
that's
couple of weeks
Saturday.
off.
Yeah, that's a Saturday, and it starts at,
10 o'clock.
and it ends at,
About 4.
Well,
somewhere around 4.
when people leave, but after 4.
Okay. And
And
do
if you're parking, I'd try to get there about 9:30 for parking.
yeah, because it mounts up quite quickly.
And the other item, parking is free. So
Yes.
the admission covers parking.
Right. So, what does the plowing competition with the draft horses and mules look like?
Well, this has been, the Draft Horse organization has been doing plowing matches. I think this is our 53rd year in different places around Oregon. And over that time period, we've developed a set of rules, things that we hold ourselves to. How straight? What does the crown look like? The crown is your first row. How nicely you come out of the soil and go back in. How well you do on that finish.
Right.
With the dead furrow. And then your overall look of the lay of the land when you finish, if you've gotten good cover, and how your team responds. So there are several areas, and we have judges. This year we're excited to have some young judges. We have some students from Dayton FFA that will be helping doing the actual judging of the competition along with their advisor, Mitch Coleman. But we'll have another judge that has judged many times before. But that's going to be nice too. We are all looking for a chance to pass this on.
Right.
And keep the interest in a younger generation. And so this is one way that we hope to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the sponsors for this year. Cynthia, would you like to do that?
Well, we are very, very fortunate this year with Northwest Logging stepping up to actually be our partnering sponsor. That's helped us be able to get out a little bit more advertising and everything else, and it's always wonderful. And then other large sponsors are Wilco and Bottens and Les Schwab and Oregon Stationers. But then we have other ones with the People Mover, the ADA People Mover.
Yes,
that is
ADA
from,
People Movers, they are usually sponsored by either, sometimes it's the John Deere dealer, and
Sure.
sometimes it's a Kubota dealer. They're the ones that help us.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And now you can bring that poster down. So the next question is this the largest plow competition on the West Coast with draft animals?
Yes. There have been times, when there were plowing matches all over. But that time has dwindled a bit. And we have a lot of people in our group, the Oregon Draft Horse Breeders Association, that go to some of these other matches, and we definitely are probably twice as large as anything in the area that we know of. We've have 20, one year we had I think 22 teams out there on our 50th year. So we have a good group of horses and mules from as far away as Eastern Oregon and Washington. So I think if you come, you'll get to see a variety of breeds and different plows, and it'll be a very full plowing day for you.
That's fantastic. It's always fun to watch the mules plow. And you do such a great job with the mules. Would you like to talk about the mules for a moment?
Well,
Now
now wait a minute. You don't want to. My wife would say that's not a good question to ask.
In a short few
In a
sentences.
short time. Okay. Well, I have chosen mules for a lot of good reasons. If you do research, you'll find that they, dive deeper and come up drier than horses.
Yep.
And so I like the mules, and there's always a little, not animosity, but jovial boxing going on now and then with the teamsters between the mules and the horses. But I think if you talk to most of the horse people, they will have to admit that there are areas where the mule shines. And of course they're not here to defend themselves, but I love the mules.
Believe, we've seen a lot of these arguments.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And it's amazing to me that the horse strap people relent to your mule situation.
Mules have more sense. They're not going to do anything that's going to hurt themselves or kill themselves. A horse will do whatever you ask it to do.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
That's why they say stubborn as a mule, because sometimes it'll just get tired, right, Wayne, and stop.
Well, not just tired, but but the first time, you know, when I was a new teamster to this, I was pulling some logs on a friend's place, and I was decking them up in this pile, and I kept going a little further and further to the right. Pretty soon the mules weren't going to go to the right. And I kind of yelled at them, you know, what's the deal, you know? And finally I went up there and looked. Well, here's some wire and glass right there in the grass that I never noticed. You know, that's the kind of thing that they just take care of themselves. So when people say they're stubborn, yeah, they feel like that because they're not doing what I want when I want it. But if you look at it, most of the time you'll find they're taking care of themselves.
Well, they anticipate some things that horses might not see, too.
It seems as though, you know, in many hybrids, I mean, we use hybrids in a lot of different species, there's what they call hybrid vigor. In other words, you get better than either species. Mules are a good example of that.
Awesome. So let's talk about the parade of teams and the awards.
So after we finish in the afternoon, usually 3:30 or 3:30, the teamsters will plow out the headlands. So there's an area between where we start in the competition and into the competition on either end of the field in our plots. Each teamster is given a certain specific plot that they plow themselves, and they have to work with the neighboring teamster to plow part of it. So once they've completed that, then there's this area around the turning area, the land. And so we all get together in a big line, and we go through and together then go through and plow this out, make a round or two, whatever it takes to plow those out. In that time, it's a good time, so that would be 2:30 or so, usually 2 to 2:30, around that time. And the announcer will do a good job of telling about the plow, about the teamster, about the animals as they go by. So if you had questions about that as you looked, that'd be a good time. You'll see the whole group pass through, and that's when we'll be doing the big hitches also. We'll put them in the parade of teams. And then after that, while we're doing that, the judges are frantically putting the numbers together. You know, not that there's any competition, friendly competition. Mostly, my wife says, why do you have to have a competitive plowing match? And, you know, I said,
somebody has to win.
yeah, exactly. I said, but we need bragging rights for a whole year. So that's what it's about.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the sawmill, the blacksmithing, and the horseshoeing demonstrations.
All of those things are going to be going on.
And is there a certain time, or?
Yeah, you'll get it when you write in or walk through the entrance gate. You'll be handed a schedule of things going on.
And
Great.
a map.
And plus a map that shows where all these things are occurring.
Right.
And yes, there are specific times that the sawmill will run, that the blacksmith shop does their stuff. The sawmill is an 19 or 1890s Deluge sawmill that used to operate up on Rex Hill above Newburgh, and it was moved down to the Heritage Center. The blacksmith shop has a whole crew of blacksmiths, smithies they call them.
Smithies, yeah.
And interestingly, we have enough now that we have over 15 blacksmiths.
Wow.
We're teaching classes, so if people are interested in taking blacksmithing classes, that's available. In addition, they've got classes for younger kids called Fun at the Forge, and that's taking off as well.
Oh, I bet.
Mighty Mike is our youngest smith. I think he's turning 11 this year.
Yeah.
Wow, 11. That's fantastic. And are there horseshoeing demonstrations this year?
Yeah, we will have a horse. There'll be a draft horse, and we have a shoer come in. He'll show how to trim that foot and how to set the shoe the way it's done, so that the shoe will stay on. A lot of the horses will be using shoes, and so that's a common thing, and you'll get to see that.
And there's a name for a horseshoer.
A farrier.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much. Yep. So special exhibits, demonstrations of horse-drawn equipment.
The only extra special exhibit is going to be, we're hoping to be having some hit-and-miss engines set up. They will not be right by the horses, as
Good,
they can
because they
kind
look
of,
pretty loud.
they can kind of spook them.
I've seen those hit-and-miss engines on American, I forget the name anyway. It's been on television here recently.
One of the other things is that we'll have a drag saw operating on a log as it was done at the turn of the century, with a single cylinder gasoline engine.
Yeah, it was American pickers.
Yeah.
There you go.
They find
Yeah.
different things throughout the country, and some of the hit and miss.
So might there be some other interesting horse-drawn equipment getting used, weather permitting?
Weather permitting, we like to come, and it wouldn't be the whole group, probably half of the group would stick around on Sunday, and we would work down the ground. It's not really, I mean, we advertise Saturday because that's what we do, the contest and all, and we kind of
Right.
do that rain or shine. But if it is rain and it's really muddy, we wouldn't be able to go out there and work the ground. It just wouldn't be the right thing to do. But if it is decent, we'll be out there with a variety of things, disc, harrows, spring teeth, and we'll be out there working the ground down. So that would be something you'd get to see. And again, you'd see a little bigger hitches, putting together 4s and 6s and things like that.
That would be on Sunday.
That would be on Sunday. And so that's open. That's just that's a plus. I mean, that's something you might get as a bonus.
So beyond Farm Fest Day being Saturday, they can come out and witness what you're talking about on
Right.
Sunday, and that's a no charge.
So we'll be able to tell people by Sunday afternoon, if it looks decent, we can give them some indication as to whether we'll be there or not.
Right. Okay. Pioneer Kids area and hands-on activities and animals.
Well, we definitely going to have that set up and going. I know we're going to have at least a couple of bottle lambs and some very friendly chickens. And
Which you
I'm
were
not
gonna
sure what
bring
else.
one in today.
I was going to bring one in, but I ended up having to got tied up with my sheep before I came. And then there might be some other ones. I'm working on getting some other friendly animals to come. And we will have the covered wagon out. 4-H wagon train is also going to be right
Awesome.
next door to us, so you can find out about that if you're interested in doing that this coming year with your family.
Okay.
And we are hoping to have maybe some rope making supplies out.
Oh, cool.
And maybe have them with a crosscut saw and some things like that. Or we're planning on
kids.
doing.
Yeah,
for kids.
absolutely.
Or if the kids and mom and dad, or they want to say who can do crosscut better, they can have a little competition
We
going.
call them adult kids.
Yes.
Adult kids are allowed to.
And we all hope that we are that, right?
Yes.
That we're adult kids. Let's see here. Historical displays, tours of the museum, and the 1877 Hutchcroft School.
Well, the Hutchcroft School is one of the favorites brought to the Heritage Center from outside of Yamhill. And it was built in 1877. Cynthia here was really prime ramrod on getting that thing here and getting it done. It's been completely restored to the way it was in 1877.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that much because the building was so well preserved. But yeah, if you wanted to, you can sit in the desk and think about a school marm with her switch and the.
We will have though she refuses to wear costume, we will at least have a docent in there for the whole time, and I'll be coming out there for a couple of time periods for answering specific questions about the history of the schoolhouse, and small story time with the kids, and some of that. So that'll be on the Times. It'll be on the Times.
I've sat at that desk before and wondered if, the school marm might come in with a ruler and smack my hand or something.
Well, they might make you go sit in the corner
You'd
on the
sit in the
dunce
corner
stool.
with a
With
dunce
the
cap.
dunce cap, yeah.
Yes.
There was at one time 101 school districts in Yamhill County,
Wow.
and most of them were one-room, two-room schools.
Sure.
And
That
that
was the
school, the
model there.
largest number of students in that school, I believe, was 38 at one time. Though when the school closed, it only had 8 students.
The interesting thing about that one class, the ages were from 4 to 19.
Of the 8?
Uh-huh. And no, of the large class,
The
there
large
were
class.
27, I believe,
Okay.
in that class.
Okay.
And imagine the skill that the teacher had to have to teach from 4 to 19.
Sure. It's amazing
And
to
they
me.
got a great education.
And my mom, when she first lived in Newburgh, went to school in a one-room schoolhouse at the top of Rex Hill. And so,
That was one of the 101.
yeah. So old-time music, let's talk about that.
Well, we're going to start off with Second Wind's bands for orchestral flying of the colors.
Yes.
And then I believe they're going to be playing until, what time? 10:30 to 12:30.
Okay.
Then we're going to be having Old Time Fiddlers from 1 to 3. And that will be our music and food. Mel puts on a wonderful feast, and you might get to see Howie here help serve up, or he has
That
in
might
past
happen.
years.
That might happen. Yeah. So what is some of the past attendances for Farm Fest look like, Cynthia?
Typically, it's been about 1,000 to 1,500, but we had one year when the weather was just unbelievable, and we hit 2,000. And Tony was able to park them all.
I don't know how you did it. You must have used the median strip down the highway.
We won't report to the county about that.
Please do not stop on the highway to go see what's
Oh,
going
yeah.
on.
Oh,
The police get
please
very
don't.
upset. It's
Oh,
very
That- yeah,
dangerous.
people have in the past seen the horses and they pull off on Highway 18.
Yeah, that has been a little bit
Not a good
disheartening.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
not a good
No.
thing.
not a good thing. I saw a semi pull
we'll-
over one time.
We'll find a spot for you. Come on in.
Yeah, come on in.
So the food is amazing.
Yes, it is.
And I can't speak enough about Mel Kelchner and his family and all of the friends that do this, because they love doing it.
One of the really great additions to the museum in the last several years has been the kitchen.
Yes.
And that has allowed an expansion of the kind of meals that we have. And Mel has taken advantage of those things, and we're the beneficiary of it.
And we'll be having zero waste helping out again, so we're trying to put as little as possible into the landfill.
That's exactly what needs to be done. So I really applaud you guys for thinking about that. So what is the price of the entrance ticket for those that are above 12 years of age?
It's $8. It's very reasonable. You can't even go to a movie for that anymore.
No, you can't. It would cost you $50 to go to a movie.
Now, we hope that if you want to spend 50, you would spend it at the Heritage Center on that day, but
So let's talk about the annual fee that families and individuals can buy and get into all the events throughout the year.
this is the one time when you can become a member of the Historical Society, and the basic family is at $30. So if you join that day, pay the $30, you get into the event free.
Right.
So because your membership covers it. Then in addition, you get to all the other events that we have throughout the year free, because members get into our events free. And we've got a lot of things going on. We have Harvest Fest in August.
Right.
We have a baseball game, vintage baseball game in September. And then we have the Halloween
We've got
function.
Night at the Museum, which is going to be the Saturday, whichever it is closest to Halloween
Right.
in October. And that is fun for all ages.
And this year, we're adding an event we hope will grow over the years. June 22nd, there'll be a pancake feed, music, and haying demonstration. So we'll be putting up loose hay with animals. You'll get to see them mowing, raking, tedding, putting it up into a loose hay with a derrick. I think it'll be very interesting to see how hay was done before we had big balers.
So say that date one more time.
June 22nd.
So keep
And that'll
that.
be, it'll start, breakfast start at 8:30, and it'll go clear through till 12:30. and we'll do a couple of demonstrations during that time, starting at 9, and then again another session in the afternoon. So it's a good time to come out, have a good meal, and as you let that digest, you'll get to see some mules and horses doing hay.
So let's talk about the kids. Under 12, it's free admission still.
It's free admission. Though, you do eventually have to collect them from the petting area.
Or from running around the building 5,000 times. Yeah. So it is a family-friendly event for all ages. Let's talk about that, because there's very few of these left anymore. Completely family-friendly.
We've had people say that as they were leaving, boy, this reminds me of the old county fairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where there was all kinds of really participatory events where people could actually get up close and personal to the way people had to live years and years ago. So it's educational, it's family. The kids love this event.
Oh, man.
Because they love the animals, particularly the animals, and they like to see those big horses and mules pulling things. It's quite a sight. So yeah, it is very family friendly.
So I only have one more question, and that is, let's talk about Harvest Fest, which is the 2-day event, which will occur this year on Saturday, August 17th, and Sunday, August 18th. So
part of the reason we do what we do in April is so that we'll have what we have in August, which is the oats ready to go. We plow the ground, it's planted, and then that oats is ready to harvest. So that's what Harvest Fest is about. And in everything that we've talked about, we'll have music, we'll have food, we'll have the blacksmithing, we'll have the sawmill, there'll be demonstrations. In addition to that, you'll see it being harvested. There'll be a binder pulled by animals, there'll be the thresher going. We have animals picking up bundles. So you'll see a variety of ways that the grain is handled. Last year we did a demonstration showing all the way from a scythe through a reaper to a binder.
Yep.
And then later in the day they could see the combine. So it showed the whole process of how agriculture developed. And so I think it's very educational, and it's there's a lot of animal power. There's a lot of
talk about the belt-driven equipment.
And internal and external. There's an external combustion engine there, and an internal combustion engine running usually the baler. But the external combustion, the steam operated vehicle, the tractor runs the separator. And who knows? There is.
We are hoping.
There is a whisper of something in the air that we may have at some point, not only operated by steam, but operated by animals, having a separator that's actually operated by animals. So keep your eyes and ears peeled.
Yep, news to come.
News to come.
So we've run out of time, and I'm always so sad because it all goes by so fast. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you, Tony.
Howie.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching today. Be sure and get out to Farm Fest. It's April 6th, and it's from 10 to 4. And possibly the second day, Sunday, which is free. You might see something else occur out there if it all goes well. If you're interested in suggesting some ideas for new shows, you can get a hold of me through my email address, which will happen at the end of the credit roll. I also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page where I post all of these videos after they've run on Comcast Cable Channel 11 and Frontier Cable Channel 29. And thank you for watching today.